Hello everyone. Welcome to the series of Indianomics. Today I'm going to discuss about the state of economy. The state of economy considering the perspective of rural India. The reason for discussing this topic is, as we all know that 75% of the people reside in rural India, and these 75% of the population support the economy from various dimensions. And unless this rural India is going to be strengthened, we cannot expect of any change in the transformation of the country. So we need to analyze the impact of corona on the rural India. We need to analyze the composition of economy of rural India, and this lecture is also dedicated towards making you understand about the implications of the policy of the government, that how the policies of government in COVID is going to strengthen the economy of the rural India. So the most important statement made by any Indian philosopher was by Mahatma Gandhi, and Mahatma Gandhi said that India resides in villages. India resides in villages. That means the custom, the traditions, the living style of the villages naturally depicts the real face of the Indian society. And if the real face of the Indian society will suffer, maybe economically we can become the global superpower, but philosophically, especially when the philosophy of most of the leaders, we have seen that most of the important leaders actually have their connection from the rural India. So why this country forgets the importance of rural India? Why we keep on photocopying the opinion of the Western countries? Why can't we grow while supporting the majority of the population if it resides in rural India? These are certain questions which are needed to be answered. So, residing in villages is generally depicted as being backward, and the people in villages are thought to be of parochial orientation. Why all these things are happening? See, one interesting fact that I can tell you is, in COVID, what is happening? The land prices in the rural India is multiplying, because now everyone is understanding the importance of villages. Okay, so without wasting any time, let me start the topic of rural India and how the state of economy is strengthened by rural India. See, there was a debate which was initiated in 1990s, and the debate was India versus Bharat. This debate is very popular. Why? Because India is generally considered urban India and Bharat is generally considered by villages or rural India. Urban India supports around 15% of the population. Rural India supports more than 75% of the population. And there are certain people who keep on migrating between urban and rural India. And that is the difference between the population. That means around 10% of the people keep on migrating between villages and urban areas. Now, when you migrate from village to urban area, this is called as simple migration. This is called as simple migration, and the reason can be many. The factors can be categorized in two formats. One is push factor and another is pull factor. Push and pull factor. Push is something forcefully. That means if you do not get the opportunities in rural India, and if you are forced to sustain your livelihood, to sustain your life, to go and work in the urban areas, that is called push factor. Pull factor is something if you are attracted by the opportunities, the positive opportunities, if you are attracted by the lifestyle, and if you are attracted by the educational opportunities. So the people try to migrate to the urban areas for taking the better facilities of the urban area. So there are two basically factors which promote the migration from villages to urban areas, and I hope that you might have knowledge about these facts. So whenever the question comes about India versus Bharat, this is basically the question between urban versus villages. And if I talk about urban areas, these are generally called as the engines of growth. Engines of growth. These are called as engines of growth. Why? Because they contribute more than 75% of the Indian GDP. That means what? That means an area where 15% of the population is residing is contributing more than 75% of the Indian GDP. And an area where 75% of the population is residing is contributing around 15% of the Indian GDP. Now, why this stark difference is there? The reason is very simple. The reason is, when we talk about the composition of rural economy, basically lack of productive opportunities. Lack of productive opportunity is the basic reason for lack of participation in the economy. And why there is a lack of productive opportunity in the rural India? Because since we have the lack of opportunities, so that is why the infrastructural development basically happens in the urban area, and rural area is basically left with suboptimal kind of economic activities. And that is the basic reason why rural India is not able to contribute to the development of the country. But one thing is very important here, and the fact is, see, please understand this thing, 75% of the population, although you don't have the economic opportunities, but this 75% of the population is going to demand goods and services, and for this demand you need to have money in your pocket. And from where this money comes? This money basically comes from two areas. One, the opportunity which is created in rural India, or the second, the money which is coming from urban India. Now, how the money is coming from urban India? As I said that from rural to urban, around 10% of the population migrate, and they send money to their family members, which is called as remittances. Now, this remittances actually support the demand in the rural India, and this demand promotes the consumption. And this consumption promotes investment. But what is the issue here? Consumption is there in the rural India, but investment is there in the urban India. That means expenditure is done in the rural India, but the jobs are created in the urban India, and that is why this divide is becoming more and more stark. Why? Because the investment opportunity in the urban area, infrastructure development in the urban area, so these all things are benefiting basically urban India, and rural India is lacking behind. So that is the reason why, in spite of 75% of the population, rural India fails to promote the real productivity in the economy. It is basically the urban India which gets the benefit, and the things get functioned by migration. Agree this point? Now, if I talk about the composition of the economic activity, many people think that the agricultural activities are the basic economic activities in rural India. But let me tell you a very important fact. The fact is, agricultural activities constitute only 29% of the rural GDP. That means what? That means if the complete economy, if this, if you see this rectangle represents the, rural economy. This rectangle represents the rural economy. And I am talking about what? I am talking about agriculture activity. Agriculture activity is only 29% of the, GDP of the rural India, and non-agricultural activity, they constitute 71% of the GDP of the rural area. So this can be a question in UPSC, that whether agricultural activities dominate. No, agricultural activities are only 29% of the GDP of the rural India, and 71% of the activities are non-agriculture. And there is one more important fact is 29% contribution, but how many people are dependent in agriculture activities? Around 58% of the population is involved in agriculture. That means employment is 58. Employment is 58, but contribution is only 29%. That is why agricultural activities these days are tagged as what? Unproductive. What needs to be done? See, this extra number of people who are involved in agriculture, they are creating a problem of disguised unemployment. They are creating the problem of disguised unemployment. So disguised unemployment should be reduced. Okay, disguised unemployment should be reduced, and these people should be shifted to the other areas. And what are the areas where these people can be shifted? These can be agriculture processing facilities. That means food processing. This is an area which can be promoted. Now 71% of the population, 71% of the GDP is from the non-agricultural activity, and this non-agricultural activity provides employment only to 42% of the population. That means 42% of the population is supporting 71% of the GDP of the rural India. And if I talk about the numbers of the GDP of rural India is 95 lakh crore rupees on an average. 95 lakh crore rupees on an average. And this 95 lakh crore rupees, it divided into two parts. As I said that one part is agriculture. One part is agriculture. And the second part is non-agriculture. Second part is non-agriculture. These are the two parts. Yes. Now, we have seen that the people have migrated back to their real homes. That is called as reverse migration. And agriculture, in agriculture, if I talk about, there are certain areas. Agriculture, I can say that an important area is vegetables. An important area is milk, and an important area is food grain. Now the government is doing what? See, please understand, except tomato and potato, except these two vegetables, the price of the vegetables are decreasing. Okay, if I talk about milk, there is a lack of demand for milk. Why? Because a lot of roadside activities like khokha, these thelas, their activity had been affected. And that is why the milk demand is also being affected. Being a duration when a festival activities are promoted, still the demand of milk is very weak. So according to the assessment which is made by a recent research organization, there is a demand which is going to affected by 10,000 crore rupees. 10,000 crore rupees demand lack is going to be there. There is a lack of. And if I talk about food grains, many people are saying that the Rabi harvesting is done for Rabi crops. They are good. and this is going to strengthen the rural India. But please understand this thing: Rabi harvest is only 1/5 of the total agriculture production. That means if I talk about 100 is the agriculture GDP, then only 20 comes from Rabi. That means what? Rabi is not going to strengthen the agricultural area for a larger duration of time. Now the government is talking about increasing the MSP of wheat and cotton. You know, the sowing of wheat and cotton has been started and MSP is announced pre facto. So wheat and cotton price MSP has been increased. So this is going to increase the production in agriculture. But we all know that agriculture is only 29%. Agriculture is only 29%. And agriculture is also supported by recently PM Kisan Yojana. Now the government has offloaded the money which has to be given in Kisan Yojana, which is around 6,000 per year in 3 equal installment. So this is also going to strengthen, and the government has also, transferred the money from direct money transfer scheme. So these all things are going to strengthen the agriculture, which is going to strengthen demand, but still the non-agricultural activities are being affected, which is around 71% of the GDP. Around 71% of the GDP. So even if a lot of policies, and if I talk about the numbers, the contribution, the government through all these policies, now what are the policies which I am talking about here? The policies like, please wait, let me change the color of the pen. Yeah. See, the policies like Kisan Yojana, PM Kisan Yojana, direct money transfer, increasing the MSP, better Rabi harvest, these all things on an average is going to increase the agricultural GDP by 35,000 crores per month, which is a huge amount. That means agriculture sector has got a huge amount of support from the government. But still the non-agricultural activities will be affected. Now basically what is a non-agricultural activity? If I talk about a non-agricultural activity, a non-agricultural activity is something which is not dependent on agriculture, but the demand which is coming from the people who are dependent on agriculture. What I am saying here, if 58% of the people are dependent on what? They are working in agriculture, so they are dependent on agriculture. These 58% of the people will demand, that means they are going to support the demand. And this demand has to be supplied. There has to be supply in the rural economy. This has to be supplied. There has to be a supply in the rural economy, and this has to be supplied from the economic activity in economic growth in the rural India. And these, as I said, that these non-agricultural activities support around 71% of the GDP of the rural India. See, please understand, there is a lack of economic activity in the rural areas, and that is why people are asking for which jobs? Manrega jobs. Recently the government has allocated 40,000 crore rupees, yes, under the effect of COVID. That means already in budget 2020 and 21, 65,000 crore rupees were allocated, and we have allocated 40,000 crore rupees more. That means more and more people are demanding money. Now if more and more people are demanding money, why this is happening? Because from urban areas, as I said, that there is a concept of reverse migration. RM means reverse migration, and around 25 million people are returning to the rural areas. Now if I assume that on an average, they used to earn around 6,000 per month, sorry, not per day. If they were earning around 6,000 per month, so there is a lack of around 7,500 crore rupees in wages of those people who were working in the urban areas. Now they are returning back, so they will be demanding money, work under Manrega. Now please understand one more fact here. Manrega is what? Manrega is a demand driven scheme. That means if you are going to demand, government is not going to supply the jobs to you by itself. you will have to come and demand. It is a demand driven. Now, when someone is going to demand, because here you get only 200 per day, that means it is the least amount. Even a construction worker earns around 500 per day. So why someone is asking a job in Manrega? Because this person X is not having any job. Because they were working in the urban areas and their number is around 25 million. Now they are returning back to the rural area. And when they are returning back to the rural area, they don't have any other work, and that's why they are going to, Manrega for the jobs. And that is why the allocation under Manrega is increased by more than 1 lakh crore rupees. So is increasing number of jobs in Manrega resembles that there is a revival of economic activity? There is no revival, because Manrega jobs itself are not skilled, they are unskilled jobs. You have to remember this point also. Manrega jobs are not a skilled one, they are unskilled, demand driven, 100 days of employment in every household. Now here, more than 1 lakh crore rupees allocation in Manrega, it may give some amount of money to these 25 million workers who are coming back to the rural India, but still, please understand this fact, still this money is not much. This money is not enough so that this is going to sustain their demand for the longer duration. So if someone is asking more jobs under Manrega, it does not represent a revival of economic activity. Rather, people don't have jobs, there are lack of jobs, and that is why they are taking jobs under Manrega. So in this situation, what needs to be done? What needs to be done is what? Please understand this thing. As I said that there are two India, one is urban India and another one is rural India. Now what happens in the states like UP, in the states like Bihar, in the states like Chhattisgarh, Jharkhand, in these states rural India dominates, while in the states like Maharashtra, in the states like Delhi, Karnataka, here urban India dominates. If because of reverse migration, people are migrating back to rural India, that means there is going to be a strengthening of the GDP of the rural India. Why? Because of Manrega money allocation. So for a shorter duration of time, more jobs in the rural India, and if rural India is dominated in the states like UP, Bihar, here the economic activity will also revive at the cost of the activities which are there in Maharashtra, Delhi and Karnataka. And out of the 50 most affected districts in the country, we have seen that around 10,000 cases per million population in the 50 most affected districts in the country, and rest complete India is having less than 100 cases per million. That means in rural India, the economic activity is not much affected, especially when we consider about the movement of the people. Okay, so there was a normal economic activity. Now more people are coming back to the rural India, and that is going to revive the demand for work in the rural India, and this is going to strengthen the GDP of UP, Bihar and other states where rural India dominates, because here the number of cases is less than 100 per million, and the urban India and those districts where urban India is dominating, 50 those most affected districts, there are more than 10,000 cases per million. So these are going to be affected. But recently what is happening, there has been a saturation stage in the districts like Delhi and Mumbai. There the number of corona cases are decreasing now. In fact, the slope is being reduced. While in the rural India, there had been more number of corona cases. That means rural India till now, which was not affected much by corona, is under a danger of corona, which is going to affect the movement of the people. That means rural India on which the government is bagging a lot. The government is dependent a lot on the revival of rural India, which is going to support the demand of the country. This rural India is in danger. And when most of the activities, 71% of the activities is from the non-agricultural sector. So in this background, the government needs to be cautious. The primary healthcare centers and the community healthcare centers in the rural India should be revived so that rural India can manage the crisis of corona, and especially the schools which are there in the rural India, and the role of the Gram Panchayat is of very important, so that they are going to make the people aware about the challenges of corona, and so that rural India, because there the density of the population is less, so if they are going to manage the social distancing norm well, they are going to control the spread of corona. So this is what needs to be done in this background. I hope you might have understood the discussion that we did today. Based on this, there is an important question. The important question is, with reference to the rural India, which of the following statements are correct? First, agricultural activities dominate the rural economic activity. Second, non-agricultural activities dominate the employment in rural India. Third, reverse migration will strengthen the economy of rural India. Fourth, increasing the allocation of Manrega represents the revival of rural Indian economy. And fifth, migration to urban India promotes remittances and demand in rural India. So you need to answer this question in the comment box. Thank you so much for watching this video. We'll meet again if I find out some good topic. Till then, keep studying and take care of yourself. Thank you so much. Goodbye.